Three female entrepreneurs turned besties share on life, business, and the journey through the mess. Join their community with every new episode for connection, education, a few laughs, and the hype energy like a bathroom full of drunk girls at a bar. It's okay. We're your friends now.
No. I just
Go.
Hey everyone.
let's fucking
welcome.
go, Ashleigh. Let's fucking go.
Welcome to our very first episode of We're Your Friends Now. I am today's host, Ashleigh. I am here with Katie and Elizabeth, better known as Biz. How are you guys today?
I'm great.
Flipping
How are y'all?
fantastic. It's a great day.
It is a great
day. And we're all super excited. None of us have ever hosted a podcast before. So we are just super excited to be a part of helping build a community. And today's inaugural episode, we thought it was only fitting that we call it Let's Fucking Go, because we all get stuck in perfectionism loops. We're way too excited to just get this community started. So there's just no better way to kick it off than to just fucking go. So, Elizabeth, why don't you tell us a little bit about like what is going on in your life this week? What are you up to lately?
I pulled the lever on an ear piercing last week.
That's
So,
right.
What did you get
Yeah.
pierced?
I
Where?
I don't even know what it's called. So my kid, you see it right here? I feel like such a baddie now for the first time in my life.
Oh, little
Um,
cartilage piercing.
Yeah, I know, a little cartilage piercing up there. What's it called? I don't know. Up there on top of your ear.
It's your cartilage.
Oh. I thought it had like some fancy name. I don't know. Yeah, but Liv, my daughter Liv, it was her birthday and she turned 8. And it was she's always wanted her ears pierced, and I didn't do it when she was a baby, right? And so I was like waiting until she was old enough to really want it, and also for me to be okay with it. And yeah, so we went and got it done. We got the same earrings, and she actually drew my dot. And she drew the dot and chose where to get it. So we're suffering through the new ear piercings together.
Do you want to hear the most teenage story about cartilage ear piercings?
Of course. Please.
So growing up, my
wisdom
sister
on me.
is 3 years older than me, and we were super close. We were latchkey kids, so we had way too much time alone at home. And she wanted to get her cartilage pierced and was like, why don't you do it for me at home? And we were like, well, pre-Google days, how do we do it? We're like, well, that's a lot of skin. We can't use a needle. We need something that will push the skin out. We took a mechanical pencil, emptied the lead out of it, and I tried to shove a mechanical pencil through her ear. I got halfway and I heard this pop sound and I was like, oh no, this was a mistake. And so our parents had to take her to get it done correctly that night. She had to go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was.
I have tinglies all over my body.
Yeah. I'm traumatized by it. I could still hear it. Oh.
That's disgusting. And also why I took her to I actually made a post in the Facebook mom group, local one, that was like, where's a tattoo shop? But apparently there's places now where nurses do the piercing. And we totally did it that way too. That's a cool bonding experience. Like what you just talked about with your sister. I had it kind of with Liv because I was holding her hands, staring intently into her eyes as they shove this needle through. They're like, all right, now mom, make a funny face. And I'm like, man, y'all know what's up. So I'm not watching, but the whole time I'm holding her hands. I'm like, this is such a fucked up bonding experience. And at the same time, let's fucking go.
Did you go first? Did you get your ear done before she got hers?
No, they did it hers first. I'm telling you, I was like, you tell me what to do. You're the professional, right? So they got her all excited about the earrings, gave her a lollipop, and they spun her around backwards, and we're like, she's going first. I said, you got it. And I get it because after watching them do it to her twice, I almost chickened out myself. Like, I can't whip out to my daughter. Like, this is insane. So
that's exactly what I was thinking about. Like, if you're the first one that goes, you have to be all like put together, and you can't let her sing because she's gonna be like, no, I'm not getting my ears pierced after mom cried.
You know, that's a really good point though about like the whole episode, right? With let's fucking go. And like sometimes it's someone else that goes first or that you're going together with. And I just gotta say, like, Katie is that friend for me a lot of times. A lot of times she's the one that I call and I'm like, hey, should I do this? And she's like, what do you say, Katie?
She's your enabler friend.
It's
positive enabler.
Maybe that's what should start calling you, the enabler.
Only for certain things, though.
It's true.
What's crazy about this podcast is that I feel like we started getting ready to do our first episode, and then both of you went to Her Best Life, and it took us a couple weeks to get our feet into a schedule for like committing to recording this. Yeah. So I would love to talk. Like, I love this. Let's fucking go. And I feel like Her Best Life and what you guys learned there and what you both like committed to kind of tease everybody a little bit is such a good example of like having somebody that like will hold your hand and, you know, like bungee jumping, you grab the hand of the person next to you and as Biz said, open your mouth, bitch, and jump. Like, I would love, I unfortunately didn't get to be there. So I'm vicariously living through both of you. And I think our listeners, if you've never heard of Her Best Life before, like, Katie, why don't you give us like the quick spiel? What is Her Best Life? How was it? What did you guys learn?
Her Best Life is basically like a female, mostly entrepreneurial group. And it's called an experience, right? Because that's kind of the only way to really explain it. If you don't listen to Empire Builders podcast, please do that immediately, because those are all the women who run Her Best Life. So what they do is put 350 women in a room together who all are entrepreneurs, and it's truly, I mean, the best description is in the title. It's Her Best Life. So the difference between that and a lot of other conferences is it's not all about like grind harder, go do this, you can do more, you can do more. It's step back, reflect, look at your mission, find your heart. What are you uniquely equipped and meant to do on this earth? And then look at all of these women around you who are going to support you and open doors. And then how can you open doors for them? So it was like a really cool, just a really, really cool room to be in. And the way that I keep explaining it to people is there's so much freedom. Like, there was so much freedom to really examine you and who you are and what you want to do with zero judgment, whether that's like pile on more work or stay at home more.
That's awesome, because I feel like I've been to plenty of classes and things where they're like, well, you need to figure out what makes you uniquely you, what separates your business and your life from others. And then they don't really give you space or like even guidance, I guess, on how to do that. To have that space and like the freedom to explore that and to hear probably from women who have been on that journey their entire careers and lives saying, this is where I'm at in figuring out what makes
and
me
that's the cool
me.
thing. Yeah, what you're saying, Ashleigh, is exactly what my experience was in the room. And we talk about women entrepreneurs, and there was a lot of variety in the room too. Like, there were artists, authors, obviously a lot of business people. And so there was like a general understanding of experience that like journeys. So our journeys all look different, but all of us have had one. And it was so cool to just sit down and see, and then just listen and just listen.
Yeah.
And there's so many in these conferences that like the people, you know, the nuggets you get are from the speakers. And I got so much just out of the other people who were attending by just hearing their stories. Opened it with this session of like raw vulnerability that was like, here's all of our shortcomings. Here's how this past year sucked. And like, it has sucked. And at the same time, these are my friends that remind me daily that I am not the suck and that I am more than all of this stuff. Right. And it was like really beautiful because like you could see, you know, and it reminded me so much of us, if I'm being honest, because you guys do that for me, but it was cool to see that as an example. And then it was lived out throughout it. And so it was real life examples. And that's again, like why I love you, Ashleigh and Katie. And yeah, but I love that about you guys because it's like, you kind of have to have like your own independent shit that you've waddled through, right?
Yeah.
Before you really bring a whole lot there. And so back to this stuff, it was like all of them have waddled their own shit. They're where they are. And now it's that. And it's something about that level in that room. And I just don't want to discredit all of the women that were in attendance there. Because it definitely drew like-minded individuals. Everybody that we did or that I did, it's like everybody wants it to go well. You know, and that's another thing, like pulling the lever, right? I think a lot of times we all get scared of that like, you know, we assume people are waiting for us to screw up instead of waiting for us to succeed. And that in that room, it was just a room full of people. Or it's like I was talking about my investment properties, right? And or I was talking about my business, and then I forgot to mention that I owned some investment properties. And so I kind of like low key mentioned that on the side. And then Seychelle actually was like, oh, well, I assumed you did based on what you do for a living. And like that statement in itself, like assuming that I did and not that I didn't. And like that right there is like the simplest way of me articulating it.
And for anyone listening who doesn't know, Seychelle is one of the podcast hosts of Empire Builders and one of the hosts of this conference, Her Best Life.
That we went to.
So if you don't know Seychelle, she's an amazing person to follow and get connected with. It's such an interesting like nod to the way women create community and spaces. Whenever I'm at real estate conferences, it feels like the focus is so much on like, if you're going to be vulnerable, if you're going to share a thing of vulnerability, it's always past tense. And preferably you've also already like had the success that came after that to overcome the vulnerability. You know, like there's so many great stories where these people are like, like, well, I was homeless and, you know, living out of my van. And now I'm a multi-million-dollar real estate agent. Like, that's such a great story. Like, that's so powerful to hear what people have gone through. But after a decade of it, you're like, is there anybody else that's in shit right now? Am I the only one?
Well, it's kind of like that's great and inspirational. And also like, what the hell do I do in this moment? And I think that like, that's exactly it, is like,
gosh, so I felt like completely like a big warm snuggie just surrounded me of this amazing female energy that I have dreamed of and I have found in like glimpses of my friends across the country and people that I lean into and feel safe to be seen and vulnerable with. And it was just beautiful to be in a room full of people to just know it. You know what it is? I left there feeling hopeful. It was hopeful of all of the women out there that I have yet to meet, that I am going to meet, that I'm going to amplify and be amplified by. And like that whole mission, that right there is a type of hope that I was really missing, to be honest. And I don't think I realized how much I was missing it. And that goes back to this creation of this podcast, right? And all of us like pooling together and what it needs to be in the community. And so it's just, I am completely humbled, grateful, blown away already. I mean, I didn't think I could be impressed at the level of impressed I am with their organizational skills and the wealth of knowledge that's there. So I mean, truly, I could talk about it forever, but I don't want to talk just about that. I
do want to make one more point about it though, because this is kind of like my biggest takeaway, I think, is like, and I don't like to always compare things, but since all of us have been to multiple conferences, most conferences that you go to try and teach you something or show you the way that you can change who you are to become better in like whatever society's definition of. And so much of Her Best Life focused on like, if you would shut up and listen, like you already know and you already have it in you. And like, this is just more about finding the right people to surround yourself with who are going to amplify and bring that out of you. And like, it was more about becoming great for you and what's in your heart instead of changing who you are. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't all be better versions of ourselves, but like, it was so different and not like you need to change this, this, and this to be successful. It was like, you already are who you are, and that's good enough to be here right now. Let's go surround you with people who are going to continue to speak truth in you and remind you that you're great.
That's such a great point. And, you know, like what story, little anecdote thing, and I'll probably butcher it, but something along the lines, it's like a little one-line story that's like, the same water that softens the potato hardens the egg. And that is kind of like what you're saying makes me think of, is that if you are tuned in and listening to your heart, most of us already know the things we need to be doing or the things we need to be focusing on. And there's so much noise in the world around us that it's impossible to listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
And having people around you that will say like, you will already have everything you need to do what it is that you want to do, whether that's grow a bigger business or give back or start a community or, you know, do something that scares you. Like, you already have everything you need, and you just need people around you that are willing to help you see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that honestly is what you guys have done for me for years. And thankfully, everybody out there now can see what it's like with us because we're your friends now.
We should name our podcast that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a great podcast name? Today's episode of We're Your Friends is brought to you by The Long and Short of It Real Estate Video, a Facebook group for anyone interested in leveraging video in their business. Come join the community for all the free tips and tricks.
No, I had a really funny experience about it last night. One of my friends texted and was like, okay, I need somebody to tell me not to get this. It was originally $1,200 and it's been $900 and it's right now marked down to $806. And I was like,
wait, can we guess what it is?
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
I was like, do you want my real opinion or do you want me to girl math this? And she said both. And you can guess what it is, but it's funnier because I was like, I am already so well equipped with all of my answers to girl math this specific item. It was not a toaster.
How is this another toaster right now?
No, it's a hair dryer.
Nope, it was a fancy espresso machine.
I was thinking coffee maker was going to be my next one.
And I was like, I am so ready. I am so ready.
Locked and loaded. Espresso machines are basically free.
And I was like, and with all the time that you're going to save in the mornings, not going to a coffee shop, you can actually sit and think about the business that you want to start so that, you know, now you're actually buying back time and you're going to make more money from starting a business just so that you can get the tax benefits of having an espresso machine. So she was like, I think I'm going to get it. I was like, well, my real opinion is like, I could probably never, but good for you.
You know, the only reason I always look at espresso machines and I'm always tempted, but I can never pull the plug on one because I've had in office espresso machines and they're fine, but you still want to go get a Starbucks sometimes. And they never, like, I think it's a user error because I can never make it as good as a Starbucks drink. Part of it might have been just like whatever espresso machine it was. That is my hang up with them. I would spend the money if I felt like I could figure out how to make it good.
So she has 17 years of experience as a barista previously.
Oh.
So she's pretty confident.
She should not make one with the spare parts outside. You just tap into your veins at that point. Good. 17 years. Wow. That's amazing.
I know.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself with that. That's incredible. With that 17 years, she's probably already got the frother. Like, can we girl math that? Did you ask? Like, or does the frother come with it?
She probably knows the right syrups to buy and everything.
Like she's probably got it on lock.
I have 0 follow-up questions.
Or was it? Did she buy it? I need to know. It's awesome.
I'll find out.
That'll have to be okay. All right, that'll be our next episode update. Did Katie's friend buy the espresso maker? Needs to let us know what they think. Yes or no?
Yes or no? There'll be a poll
Down
at the
to
website.
what, $800 and originally $1,200.
Would you buy it?
Would you buy it? If I had 17 years experience, this podcast and like, okay, we want to start a community. And nowadays, almost all of our communities are online. Like we all live in different places. And the way we're able to stay connected is through digital media. I mean, we've got our chats, we've got text and phone calls, which are great. But a lot of it is through media and online communities. And I almost feel like my struggle with that is that we forget that simply coexisting online is not community. Like just listening to this podcast and then turning it off and doing nothing does not substitute a community for you. Our hope and goal is that this helps encourage you to build community and to use this as like your launching point and your, you know, when you say, I'm not really sure what adult friendship should look like. It's hard when you're an adult, you're busy. If you're an entrepreneur, like Biz, you hit it on the head. Like we're just always going and thinking about business. And no matter what line of industry you're in, if you're an entrepreneur, it takes up your like whole being. It becomes who you are because you're usually passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah. And you're taught to do it. Like you're taught to do it. Like you were taught to put yourself out there and it's like, and just be you, right? And without the safety lines in place, like you could very easily get sucked into the undertow. And that is, again, like community there, like what you're talking about. And I love the fact, like this whole podcast, guys, like this whole thing spun out from the fact that Katie, Ashleigh, and I are so busy, quote unquote, that we don't ever take the time to check in with each other to just talk and like live and do. And then we get together in person and it's like word vomit of like all of these things that have been going on and like let's get real vulnerable. And then there's this amazing growth that happens just because we've leaned into each other and we've talked.
This concludes our very first episode of We're Friends Now, part 1. Head on over to part 2 to hear more. Welcome to the chaos that is adult female entrepreneur friendship. We can't wait to grow and get better at this and provide community and value to our listeners. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please go check out part 2, and we will see you there.